Welcome everyone to the special meeting of council on Monday, June 15th, 2026. Roll call, all are present. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Approve the agenda. There was one that council amend the agenda to add item 5.1 and to approve the amended agenda. Someone to bring motion. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kennis. All in favor? That motion carries. All right, get right at it. Councillor Wilsey, you have a notice of motion. Do you want to talk about it? I don't know if you want to read it or just talk about it.
No, I'll read it off and then make the motion, then we can discuss it. So in the 2024 water rate study, there were projects that required approximately 18 million in debt that were not included in either of the last two budget cycles. When we talked about that during the meeting, the director of or manager of water and wastewater had said that he was new in the last few months, so that's why they didn't make it into the 2026 budget. I'm not sure why they didn't make it into the 2025, but these are non-tax projects that are already being collected for in the water and wastewater rates, and the longer we wait, the more expensive they become. So after discussion with the director of engineering, I moved that the director work with his department to bring forward a report at the first meeting in July, detailing the steps that are required to approve these ratepayer funded projects with a proposed plan to approve these projects before council goes into lame duck.
Seconder? One second your motion. Councillor Derbyshire. Any questions, comments? I can turn over. I don't know if Acting Director Easter or Manager Henderson just wants to comment on it overall.
Yeah, through the chair to council, the Manager Henderson and I discussed this motion today. There are quite a few projects listed in the rate studies, and if council wishes, we could bring a report for progress on those projects and where we're at and what, like it says in the motion, what next steps are required to put these in the budget process moving forward. But that's all the comments I have for now.
Councillor Palkman, then, sorry, didn't see you there, Councillor Willis. I'll go to Councillor Palkman on the question.
Yes, thank you. I don't think we should be rushing this. You know, these are pretty big projects, and we don't know what the price tags are if we haven't approved them yet. You know, councils in the past have gone into lame duck lots of times, and the municipality's never fallen apart. So I don't see the need to rush this to try and get them approved before lame duck, which means it would have to be in like 6 weeks. So I'm not in favor of this motion at all.
Sorry, Councillor Wills, sorry, you had a follow-up or a question?
Yeah, the first part is that this would have to be a team effort to make these forward because it would be a change in the budget for the years. Council can't do that by itself. The only way we would be able to change our budget would be through a strong mayor's directive. So he'd have to be on board with that. The other part is that these projects were already approved in 2024, and I'm not sure why we haven't done them. So delaying even longer, if we're getting a 5 to 10% increase in projects all the way through, we're going to have to look to see if we're willing to spend the extra money.
Councillor Kennis, can I just ask Councillor Willie, question maybe goes to Acting Director or the Director of Finance. Were they approved, or are they on the list of projects? Let's call them proposed, on your word, unfunded projects.
No, these are funded projects as part of the water and wastewater study, and we've been collecting water and wastewater rates based on the value of these projects. So rates won't have to go up. We've already been collecting for them. They already had estimated budgets in the water and wastewater study that we approved back in 2024.
Okay. Sorry, Councillor, I want to go to Councillor Kennis. I had a question. I'll get back to you.
Well, my question is, are any of these going to be done in 2026? Because if they're not, I think they should be left to the next council in the next budget to finalize.
Councillor Palkman.
I was just going to say that the rate study is in a long-term view of what projects we have in the future, so we can start adjusting our rates so there's not a cataclysmic adjustment in the rates, whereas the budget is the stuff that we're doing in the immediate here and now. So there's lots of stuff in the rate study all the time that we're collecting rates for, so that people can have a rate adjustment that they can expect and budget upon. And So again, just because they're in the rate study doesn't mean that we've decided to do them in the short-term future.
Councillor Derbyshire.
I understand where some people might be coming from, and I agree, maybe we don't want to approve everything, but I do believe information is power, and if the interim director is willing and thinks it's a good idea, according to Councillor Wilsey, they've talked, they've discussed it, and he's not opposed to it. I don't know why council wouldn't want to see this, even if we don't make decisions on it, at least it is documented and we have it for the files so that we know going forward what's going to be spent, where it's spent, and what projects are due. There's a lot of times where we sit here and we don't have any of that information and we speculate. So I know it says in there, you know, to propose to have it done before lame duck. That doesn't mean we have to approve anything before lame duck. That just means he was hoping to see it before lame duck so that we know where we're at on these projects standpoint. Considering we're looking at a whole bunch of financial stuff coming up, I can't see how getting more information and having more knowledge on where we're at and what we're doing is a bad thing.
Councillor Hippel.
Yeah, this is actually to Director Easter. So my question is, I guess we kind of putting you on the spot, but that's not my intention. Is this something that you and the department can do without pushing other projects aside? I am concerned because I know you don't have a lot of staff, and we are really busy right now, and but I don't know how busy your department is in the department and outside of the department. And by doing this, is this going to be pushing anything else aside that needs to be done? Like, can you do this? Is this something you can do, or is this making it, would it be better to have a little bit more time? I mean, we kind of need your honesty on this one.
Through the chair to Councillor Hippel. So as you mentioned, we do have a lot on the go right now. It's up to council. If you guys want a report, we can push things aside to get a report ready for a progress update on all of these and fulfill the motion on the table. But yeah, we do have a lot on our plates, but if council wants a report, we can put together a report to answer your question.
Councillor Pammer.
I think that words matter. So the motion in front of us is requesting something much more detailed. It's a report detailing is the word in the motion, the steps required to approve these projects and a proposed plan. So that's much more work intensive than providing us with a list of outstanding projects. So I would be more in favor of getting a list back of the outstanding projects that we've been collecting for, and then at that point, when that comes back to us as a report, council could deliberate and discuss whether or not they wanted to push ahead any of those projects or get the ball rolling on any of them. But as this motion stands right now, I think we are asking staff for something fairly detailed, and I'm not sure, back to Councillor Derbyshire's, I think that's a step, comments, which I agreed with. I think this is a step further and perhaps a little bit too intensive for this time of year.
Councillor Brennan, then we'll bring it to a vote.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. From my point of view, I don't see the urgency here, and I have confidence in the next council to deal with this in a timely manner and not rush to do something before lame duck. Thank you.
Any other comments and questions? Deputy Mayor.
So this is driving off of Councillor Derbyshire and specifically Councillor Pammer's comments. I'm concerned with the final clause that says a proposed plan to approve these projects before council goes into lame duck, so that the report is seemingly being asked for that purpose. So if the motion was reworded, if the councillor was of such mind just to ask for a report updated report on the 2024 water rate study projects, however they're identified. Maybe you could give me the best language for it, but if it was an updated report for that purpose, that's fine, but this is being asked to be done not only in detail, but with the proposed plan to approve. And I don't know that I want to approve them, so I'm not prepared to support that at least final clause.
Councillor Peltman, then we'll go back over. Sorry, Greg, I didn't see you there, so I go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So first of all, if Councillor Wilsey really wants to know what the plans are, he can read the 2024 rate study himself and look at what we've done in the budget to figure out what's not done. We don't need staff to regurgitate that. Second of all, I'd like to remind people that that department is down one department head, and it's summertime. People are going to be taking vacations and stuff, and you want all this work done in 5 or 6 weeks? I mean, we lost people at the beginning of this term of council because we asked for reports and reports and reports and reports, and here we go again. So as I'm going to repeat, lame duck is a regular term of business, and municipality has not fallen apart in the past because we've gone into lame duck. We cannot have everything decided before we go into lame duck, and the municipality will not fall apart. It'll continue on just perfectly fine if we go into lame duck without this kind of information.
Thank you. Councillor Wilsey, then I'll bring it to a vote.
Yeah, as I was reading through my motion, there's a comma missing. I didn't want to approve these projects before lame duck. When I proposed, they were supposed to be after the word projects and near the end of it, there was supposed to be a comma. So where the report, where if we wanted to approve them, that the report would come back before lame duck, not that we would necessarily have their report to do everything. So similar to what Councillor Palmer had said, all I'm looking for is a report for what the plan would be if we wanted to approve them, not that we are going to approve all of them. And yeah, there's just a comma missing on between the word projects and before. So the report was to come back on that time, and if there was a plan where if we could approve them. So it's more in line with what the other councillors have said, at least the majority of council anyways.
Yep, Councillor Derbyshire, that I am going to bring it to a vote.
So it sounds to me like what we're more concerned about is we don't want to put all this on them in 6 weeks. So if we go to the agenda tonight, coming forward on the motion that was made on May 19th by myself and seconded by Councillor Kennis, that discusses a whole bunch of financial needs, obligations, and what we're doing. Maybe this report would be better suited coming back at that point, and hopefully nothing needs to be made on a decision that's over 50,000. But I do believe if we are analyzing everything financially around here, then this should be something that is included in it, especially if there's implications of $18 million in debt that hasn't been included in the 25-26 budget. So maybe it fits in better with that meeting. Maybe we remove July. I would put that forward as an amendment to the motion, if you'd be willing to that, to see it back in the September meeting, if that would work.
Are you agreeable to that?
I'm agreeable to that. I just think it needs to be discussed. If we've got 18 million in debt coming up, especially when we're talking about debt limits and what we want to take, that was the most important part, was trying to have a plan for projects that were supposed to be done but haven't been.
You're the seconder, Councillor. You okay with that?
I'd be okay with that.
Okay. So Councillor Kennis.
I think that just, again, further pushes it out that it's really the next council's.
It's a pointless motion.
All right.
Whoa.
No.
That's in a point of order.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He apologized, Councilor. All right, you have a seconded motion. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? Motion's defeated. Issuance of debt policy. I'm going to break this into two. First is the approval of the issuance of the debt policy be approved. Someone to bring a motion to approve the debt policy. Councillor Kennis, I will second the motion. Are there any comments on the debt? Councillor Derbyshire.
So we're making a debt policy, which I see here, and that's fine. We're doing it without a whole lot of information, which we did request. And again, I'll reference to what's coming forward with possibly seeing all the information in September, knowing exactly where it is, what it does, how it stands. When you see that list of what is supposed to come in September, there would be a far better detail. What I would ask of the director, I think at this point, or whoever is, I believe it's the director that's put the policy forward, is it mandatory that we put it in now? Is this debt policy needed now? Or can it wait until we receive all the financial information?
Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, so is the policy needed now? No, no policy is at the direction of council. You know, it's up to you. We've gone this long without a debt policy, we'll just continue on that path. I'm not saying that that's a smart move, but if that's what we want to do, we can do that. It's just, we need to get a debt policy in place for moving forward with debt. We've got, as you can see even tonight, we've got a list of debt that we haven't taken out yet that we need to do. So these are all projects that need the proper debt policy so that we know how we're handling it. A good example is in that debt policy is the fact that we take out construction loans. So you're looking tonight at the police annex, so $9.5 million. I think the best bet is to take out a construction loan on that, so the debt policy would dictate that we take out a debt policy. So that would be my answer.
Okay, thank you. Any other, sorry, yep, CAO Browning.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to reiterate that the policy is not for any given annual budget. It's for all budgets. It's a governance policy to govern how we manage our budgets going forward, not only for this council, but every council. So that's the purpose of putting policy, whether it's debt policy or any other policy. And I think we have to keep that in mind. This is to put some good governance in place for future budget planning.
Sorry, Councillor Derbyshire.
And I do understand that, and I appreciate that is what it's for. I guess when I heard the last comments on we don't want to see anything financial, it's too much work and we should leave it till the next council, now we're saying, no, we should decide what the debt policy is without seeing all the information. We've gone this far without it. I don't understand what now, 6 months, 8 months, even the next council being the ones that decide whether this is. I don't know if this is even something that, are we prohibited from putting policies in place during lame duck? I guess that would be a question to the clerk. So does this have to be done tonight, or can this wait till September after that meeting when we have numbers?
Turn it over to Jen. Give her the time to look it up.
Yeah, no problem.
So the lame duck period only, there's 4 restrictions. It is anything that is unbudgeted and over 50,000. There is hiring and firing. I believe the other one has to do with land, and I can't remember the last one, but if it's approving a policy, that doesn't fall within the restrictions. So and I mean, the direction is to provide, to bring back the appropriate reports. So that wouldn't be approving anything that's beyond budget, but it is at council's will.
Sorry, Councillor Kennison, I'm going to ask the director a question.
You know, I think it's a good policy. It's been in the works for quite a while. We've got a number of capital projects that are completed that we haven't taken out loans for, and I think now's the time to do that. Interest rates are pretty stable. They're going to stay stable. So I think it's something that's good to have in place, because I think in the past we haven't really known when the time was when debt needed to happen, and I think this policy does that, and I'm for it.
Is that a hand there, Councillor Wilsey? Yep.
Before we put this through the policy that says we're going to take construction loans and everything, have we seen, or do we know what the financial implications are going to be? Because that's going to be unbudgeted debt that we'll have to pay this year if we put this policy in and take out construction loans. So that's going to be an increase to this year's budget. So just, do we have an idea of what those financial loans are? Because by the time we do the police annex, which is only going to be based on what goes forward, but there's a number of other projects we have for that will have to be construction loans, and that could be payments on millions of dollars in the short term.
My comment, I guess if you don't mind, Director, is I don't know how that affects the policy. Maybe affects the decision we make regarding the issuance of the debt, but I don't know how it affects the policy. Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilsey, all the debt that is in front of you tonight is already included in the budget, including the projected payments for the police annex, in which case included a interest and principal. What you're voting on tonight, hopefully, is going to just an interest-only loan, construction loan on the police annex, which would be extremely less than what is in the budget for this year.
Yep. Councillor Kennison will bring this to a vote.
The other thing, it's not as if there's a bunch of projects out there that haven't been paid for. They're paid for. The municipality has paid. The money's come out of the various funds that we have available, and this, by taking out long-term debt, those funds get replenished. So it's not as if they haven't been paid. The money has gone out, I believe, to pay for these things. So yeah, it's just replenishing the coffers back here. So.
All right. Well, let's vote on the policy, and we'll get into discussion. So, Councillor Derbyshire, going to bring it to a vote.
So for clarification, we split this, and we're right now we're voting to approve the debt policy.
Yep.
And then the next, we're going to approve the debt.
Yes. Yep. We have a seconded motion to approve the debt policy. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Next motion is staff be directed to proceed with the direction provided on this meeting with the budgeted debt and bring the appropriate reports back to council. So I'm going to lead off. I'm going to thank Director Dakin and his staff for turning around the sheets. I really appreciate it because I think it's important. So I'm going to be referring to the individual sheets, the capital projects, and that's where I would like to go one at a time and talk to Director Dakin. I'd just like to point out too, we've already approved the debt. We approved it as part of the capital budget. We approved it as part of the tender process. Tonight we're just going to talk about how we're going to service that debt. So I'm going to go one at a time. Comments seem to be the best way to handle it. So we're going to start with capital project Engine 31. You just want to talk about that really briefly. And if I do something wrong here, Bill, jump in. But I think the best way is to go through these one at a time, see if there's questions and how we're going to handle it. Yep.
So we're going to decide, just so I'm clear, we're going to pick what path we're choosing here for debt? Or are you going to try to write some of these off?
No, that's going to be part of either debt or how we're going to.
How are we going to square that at the end of the day if we're writing it off? Because we saw the big thing that says we had $84 million, right? That's out and about. We have 71 in the bank account.
Yeah, that's what we're attempting to do. So let's go through.
No, but we've already paid these debts out of our coffers.
Right.
That's why we're 14 million short.
Right.
So
now we're going to figure out how we're going to pay them back.
But this is where the bigger financial picture. Right now, you're looking at a small window here.
But that's the purpose.
No, it's not.
Councillor, I called the meeting. The purpose is to look at the small window and how we're going to replenish the coffers. So, Director Dakin.
So through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, so if council decides to say, no, we just want to write that debt off, then you need to tell me what reserve you're pulling that out of. And that's going to right the ship. So that's where we're going to go through line by line.
Yes. Sorry.
I come from a world where writing off debt means it's not a good thing. It's
Right.
I don't know how you want to use the words, but writing off debt is not what we're doing here.
No,
So debts are being paid. There might be being rearranged or whatever, but they're not being written off.
Right.
So
Great. Director Dakin, let's look at capital project engine 31.
So engine 31 is it's set up for a loan of $664,100. If we take that loan out through Infrastructure Ontario, the payments would be $81,714.56. And that would be over the 10 years. As standard with our fire apparatus, we do a 10-year loan on that apparatus and then put the final 10 years of that loan into the reserve to set up for the next replacement. The other option here is to just fund that internally through using a reserve, and then we would make the payments to the reserve. There'd be no interest. Same thing, 10 years, but the difference would be the payments would be $66,410. That is the options on those ones. Or you can take that full $664,10 out of one of the reserves, and that would move the money from that reserve into the back into the operating account.
So that one, we could just pay it back internally, an internal loan without interest because it was on a discretionary reserve, correct, Bill?
That is correct.
Any comments or questions? Councillor Kennis.
I don't want to get too complicated here. I mean, we could pay it back principal only to ourselves, but I think if we're borrowing from ourselves, and again, I don't want to get into complexities here, but you know, even borrowing from ourselves, we're using up cash that we would earn interest on, that money sitting in the bank. Should we at least not pay? Should we pay the the going savings rate that we would get on that money because it's not sitting in a savings account? Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Interesting. Deputy Mayor, that's you.
Thank you. I actually have two questions. They're kind of related. My first question is just a generalization. So on this one here with the fire truck, if we do an internal loan or even an external loan, it doesn't matter for the purpose of my question. Does that loan then show in the fire department budget that they're budgeting this through their budget that flows back into our budget, etc.?
So through the chair to the deputy mayor, all of our debt goes through our debt department, we'll call it, for lack of a better term. It shows all the debt, but one of the things is, Councilor Wilsey's raised this once before as well, is that debt payment should be reflected in the department. So I think that's maybe not a bad idea moving forward, because I think debt is going to be one of our new friends in the coming years because of the amount of projects we have. So reflecting those in the department is probably the best way to show them going forward. It is tax, so in these cases where it's a tax payment, it's whether you're showing the tax in the fire department or in the debt department, it's the same tax.
I'll just follow up on that point. So I asked the question because we're going to start taking apparently some debt out or financing out on some big projects. And I think it would be very valuable to, certainly myself, if I'm sitting here in a year's time, or anybody that's sitting here, if you opened up the police budget, you would see that there is a $10 million annex and that is being financed through the police. So in 20 years, you'll say, well, they're still paying for that annex. I know it flows back into the general coffers of the municipality. At the end of the day, it's all one big happy family. But wouldn't it have been nice for us walking in 3.5 years ago to see where money had been spent previously, large sums of money had been spent previously in other budgets, and how that got carried forward, so that we could see where we were putting money and where we weren't putting money. That's how I would like to see it done. I think that would be just hugely beneficial. The other question I have is the concept of taking a loan out, whether it's external or internal, as opposed to the other option, which is really collapsing a reserve and moving that money over to pay for a fire truck. So we just put in a debt policy, and I've read it a couple of times, but it seemed to me when I was reading it, it says in there that we can do internal borrowing of reserves or reserve funds for specific purposes, but it had to be done in a manner that didn't collapse the project that the reserve was initially set up for, and that it had to have an interest rate equal to or greater than what that money would have made if it remained in an investment vehicle. So in my mind, and I'm asking for correction if I'm wrong, in my mind, the debt policy would say that you have to do an internal borrowing from reserves with documentation showing a repayment schedule with interest, or you have to do a whole different process where council would go in, collapse a reserve, move the money, I guess, from reserves over into general operating account, and then pay for the fire truck out of general operating account so it's not connected to a reserve, because we've collapsed Rob Littleborn's reserve of some sort in recreation. Couldn't stop myself, Rob. Am I essentially seeing both the policy correctly and the way of either paying for something directly from reserves, which we would collapse it, move the money over into general operating and then pay for it, or do the paperwork and show that we're just doing an official loan to ourselves through reserves?
So through the chair to the deputy mayor, so you are correct. So if you even look at this sheet here, you'll see that there's the different columns of how to finance the project. So DCs, rate study, grants, reserves, taxation. So if you're going to collapse the reserve, you would just take all the money out of reserve. And that's at the budget process. If it's going to be a loan, it's a loan. And then if it's going to be a loan and it's an internal loan, then we would set that up. Very similar to the way we would set up an external loan.
Thank you.
Okay, any other, Bill, I'm going to ask if anybody wants to bring a motion on.
Just to comment on that, I mean, that would be if the reserve was initially set up for that purpose in the first place. So if you had a reserve of $900,000 set up to buy a fire truck, you bought the fire truck, you would then, yes, use that reserve and pay for the fire truck. But if that reserve was set up to, I don't know, for the police annex, and you borrowed from, and you weren't going to do that project for a while, so you decided, well, we'll borrow from the police annex to pay for the fire truck, but it's still the police annex's money, so it needs to be paid back from the fire department for the truck. So it depends on how you set these things up. So,
Councillor Peltman.
Yeah, I was going to say essentially the same thing as Councillor Kenneth, but for the public's perspective, we have, I don't know how many accounts, but I'm going to guess it's a couple hundred, and we don't have a couple hundred bank accounts. So this is all paper money that's being shuffled around, and at the end of the day, we're charging DCs and stuff for projects that we've identified. So as the policy says, when that project comes around, the money's got to be there for it. So this is an exercise just for the public to say that yes, we've paid for it internally already, but we need to put the money back in those funds that we took the money from.
All right, any other questions? Councillor Brennan.
I think it's very important to make a priority that we're not leaving future councils short money, and we need to pay principal and interest, because the true cost has to be reflected in the cost of the money. I don't want to be on a council, I'm not going to be on a council 10 years from now, but if somebody were, I wouldn't want to think that they're going to look at, and they're short all the interest money that they could have gotten if we leave that out.
Someone wish to bring a motion? Deputy Mayor.
So on Engine 31, I would motion that a 10-year loan be taken internally from reserves pursuant to the debt policy, which covers everything you said, right? Okay.
Is there a seconder for that? Councilor Wiltie, yeah, I apologize. Did you have a question? So we have a second motion if it relates to the motion.
Yeah, my question can be later. It's just in general, but I'll second the motion as well.
Okay. Yeah. Councilor Derbyshire.
The truck is 2 years old by 2024 standards, right? That's when we bought it. So was this the purchase price? And I think we've already made 2 years worth of payments on the truck. So would we still be taking a 10-year loan out to ourselves, or would that be an 8-year? Same with the other truck. When we discuss it, you can see it's from 2020. I don't know if we've been making payments on it, but
Director Dakin.
So this truck was paid for by cash, so it's already paid for, so this is reimbursing that cash. So I think it's prudent to do the 10 years, then we get it all back. And the other, just by way of note, the other fire truck that's in here is already debentured, so those payments are already being made, and they're made to Infrastructure Ontario.
Okay. Follow Councilor Derbyshire, then we'll vote.
sorry, my only point is, when we come to replace it, we're going to replace it in 10 years, and if we're looking to build up, like I just was trying to keep it on schedule with when the replacement's going to be, as opposed to it getting kicked out and us going, well, we only made this many payments, we didn't make as much on it. Like if we replace every 10 years or whatever the deal is on the trucks, I think we have to keep the same time frame going, otherwise you're gonna be either not have saved as much as you thought you were gonna save.
All right, all in favor of the seconded motion? Sorry, Councilor Kennis.
I would agree with Councilor Derbyshire. I think if we can amortize it over 8 years, we should. Just to keep everything on the same level.
Hey, do you want me to ask for a friendly amendment to the, because he asked for 10 years. The motion is for 10 years.
Sorry, I've got to answer that. Yes, I will accept it.
Okay. Who seconded that motion?
I seconded. I had one question. What is the useful life of a fire truck?
20 years.
20 years?
Frontline, and then it was, sorry. Through Chair. It's 20 years for frontline, and then it can go into the reserve for another 5 years after that.
Okay.
I'll accept that.
All right, let's vote on this. All in favor of this motion? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. The Station 1 replacement. Director Dakin, you want to speak to the options with that?
So here, this is for the Station 1, this was just finished. The budget is $9 million. Right now, we're just finishing up the final costs. They're still coming in, so currently we're sitting at 8.4 million. And what I've projected here on this sheet is the 633,000, which is based on the 9 million. So we're just waiting on a few bills to come in on that one, and then what we'll do is when we bring the report back, it'll be the actual amount, which will be less than the 9 million.
And important to note, Director Dakin, that 46% of the payments we made to DCs, correct?
That is correct. So so 46% of the loan payment will come out of DCs, and the other will come out of the taxation.
Thank you. Any comments? Councilor Kennis.
The 4.77, that's locked in for 20 years?
Currently, so that's a schedule of Infrastructure Ontario as of last Friday. And it's locked in for the full 20 years.
I was just looking to accept it. I think prime is like 4.75, so I think that's a really good rate for 20 years.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Councilor Wilsey.
It's on the fires. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'll come back.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Someone want to bring a motion? Councilor Kennis, I'll second the motion. Sorry.
Question on the motion then.
Yep.
Maybe I misunderstood, but I thought the director said once all the final numbers were done, he was going to bring the final numbers back to us. Is that not when we would make a motion as to how we're going to pay for it?
So if it's okay with council, what I would prefer is to say we're going to go with the Infrastructure Ontario loan. I will get those numbers. You're going to have to approve the bylaw to take out the loans. So in that will be the actual numbers. So what we're really approving here is that we're moving forward with Infrastructure Ontario at the 4.77 currently. Hopefully that doesn't change before we get the loan paper in front of them. And that the payments, 46% come out of DCs and the other 54% come out of taxation.
Thank you.
Okay. Did you have your thought there, Greg?
Yes, I did. So with the payments coming out of DCs, what happens, because when you look at the DC account, when I did the math on this a while back, there was only enough money in there to make the payment for like 2 years, and we're using DCs from the fire for some other stuff as well. Based on the math with the number of houses we had to build, it was well in excess of our Ministry of Finance numbers with the amount of money that goes in per house into the DCs. With all that being said, when I did the math initially, I thought that within about 4 years, we wouldn't have a fire reserve left in DCs with this payment coming out of it, just because of the size of the payment. When that happens, are we going to pay that out of taxation, or will this DC reserve go into negative? Because that's an important distinction to look at now. If we're planning on 46% of this loan coming out of DCs, we're not going to have enough to make those payments out of DCs in 3 years, by my math.
Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilsey. So if you look at the DC study said that this building was going to be about $3 million. So when we update our DC study, we'll put in the new rates. So we'll start collecting. So the actual fire DC will actually increase based on the new rates that are required to pay that off. It will be built into that new DC study. But currently what we'll do is pull them out based on the percentage.
Yep. Have your follow-up.
Yeah, so just based on that, what happens if we have the meeting that comes up, or the report that comes up later today, where we're decreasing our DCs by 50%, and then even any new study, if we have to decrease them, like, I just want to know what happens when there's not money in there, if the plan is to keep running that reserve into a negative, or if we take it out of taxation, because we should have that as a plan to go forward, because I don't think paying this amount out of DCs with the current environment seems realistic going forward for the entire 30 years.
Did you have a further comment, Director?
Through the chair to Councillor Wilsey. So I think the thing with DCs are they're set up in such a way that you have the money set aside by the time you need them. This municipality is getting way better at doing that now. So the projects that are going into DCs are future projects, so that they're in place. Again, their best estimates at the time is kind of like a budget. When we do the DC study, we update these numbers. So I think at the end, they're set up, DCs are set up in such a way that if the project does come sooner, then you actually end up going into a deficit. But as those DCs are collected on future development, those go into fill in those amounts.
Thank you. So we have a seconded motion. All in favor of the seconded motion?
What is the motion again, please?
Yeah, I don't think that was the motions put on the floor.
I thought, yeah.
To approve the external loan for the.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
There was no mover and second.
Oh.
That's why I was a little
I'm
confused.
sorry, I thought, so the seconder was Councillor Hippel.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor of the motion? Opposed to any? Motion carries. The next, there are a number of road projects. These I saved, they're all the road projects. There's Drury Lane, Agnes, Queen Street. A couple more in there. Gonna do all the road projects at once. And the Beach Street, I think there's 5 of them, Bill, if I'm correct? 5 road projects.
That is correct.
So there are 5 road projects. And I believe you're looking for a loan on all of them, correct, Director?
That is correct.
Because if I understand, is the road reserve pretty well depleted?
The roads reserve is actually in the negative, yes.
Okay, thank you. That's the point I wanted to make. Any questions on, yep, Councilor Derbyshire.
So then we'll go back to the last thing where we just approved, knowing that we're going to run out of DCs with the fire station. Like, we're not using DCs here because we don't have any, so that means we can't borrow from another DC fund. So you just approved the fire department, even though we have to do a fire study to update the DCs because we don't have enough in it to actually run the whole course and gamut.
I don't think that's it. Go ahead, Director Dakin.
Through the chair, Councilor Derbyshire, so some of these projects did, like if you look at Queen Street, for instance, had 1.1 million in DCs that have already been taken out and used in this project. DCs have to, in order for the project to be eligible for DCs, it has to be in a DC study, and it's based on growth. Most of these projects were reconstruction, and we're not part of the DC study, but any ones that were part of the DC study, DCs have already been pulled on them. Agnes Drive is another one where there's 713,000 in DCs already taken out. This is the balance left to pay off these projects.
Any other questions? Councilor Wilsey.
There's projects here from the 2023 budget and 2025 budget, but Saxton Road was approved in the 2024 budget and had 3.2 million allocated to be paid by debt. I'm just wondering why that project's not on this list.
Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councilor Wilsey, that project was paid without debt, so it was paid through DCs and reserves.
Any other comments? Oh, sorry.
I'll do a follow-up to his. So we just took it out of the reserve. We're not replenishing that reserve? Like, I thought that's what this exercise was for.
Director Dakin.
So through the chair to Councilor Derbyshire, so when that project was obviously tendered, the financing would have come forward at that Saxon Road project, and that Saxon Road project was then obviously not any longer needed for loans, but we were able to pay it off with the DCs and the reserves at that point. Could be one of the reasons that the roads reserve is in a negative right now.
Other comments or questions? Does anyone wish to make, so you're looking for recommendation for the loans, correct, Director? Does anyone wish to bring a motion? Councilor Kennis, second by Councilor Pelican, you need clarity on, so seeking approval of loans on Drury Lane, Agnes Drive, Queen Street, and Beach Street. Is that correct, Director?
Way in there.
It's on the list.
Was Agnes part of your list as well?
Yes.
Yeah, that is correct.
For how long?
Yeah.
For how long?
They are all for 20 years.
Yep, that's what I read down. Yep.
Have these projects been paid for? And where were they paid out of?
Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councilor Derbyshire, these were paid out of the operating account.
Okay. All right, so you have seconded motion. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any?
There was no second. It was just Frank.
Oh, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Frank?
And
Steve, yeah, Steve, I did say that. I did. Do it again. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
The second last, the Mount Bridges Treatment Wastewater Plant Upgrades. Director Dakin, speak to.
So I think
We're
this,
there.
through the chair to the chairs, so this one is already set up with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities for the Green Municipal Fund. So we're getting the loan of the 6.6 million and the grant of $1 million, and then you can see how the balance rest is being paid for this project. So this is more just an FYI. Once that project's complete, we're set up to do already the construction loans through FCM on these ones. So as we get progress payments to cover this off, then it just gets converted to the loan at the end, which will be coming back to council.
All right, so that comes back as way of bylaw, correct?
Yes.
So this is just for information? That one? Okay. Any questions on that one? Councilor Kennis.
Any idea what kind of rate is on that, or is that zero, or what?
I don't have that number in front of me. I was looking through the agreement with FCM. They have a agreement with, that talks to a percentage over and above the prime rate. So that will be brought forward. Once the project starts, we'll know what our payments are going to be for the construction loan, but the final debenture will be at the time of the project completion.
So you don't need any action on that this evening, right? 137 Frank Street, the renovations. You're looking for that to allocate from reserve, Director?
Through the chair, to the chair, this one we had set aside in the 26 budget a loan of 607, excuse me. We can, if council would prefer, we can set that up as, again, an internal loan if we want, or that money could come out of reserves.
Any questions or comments? Councilor Wilsey.
So I'm looking at page 114 of your 2026 budget right now. 137 Frank's not listed anywhere on the debt schedule for proposed debt that was included. So I realize it was on the sheet that we got for council tonight, but when you look back at the budget we approved, 137 Frank is not in that list of projects.
I'm just doing this from the top of my head, Councilor. I think if you do look at the actual capital sheet, it is listed as.
Yeah, it's listed on the capital sheet, but it's not listed as debt.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. Director Dakin.
I guess that was an oversight. My apologies.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yeah. Any comments how we'd like to deal with it? Yep. Okay. Deputy Mayor, sorry.
So going from recollection, during budget, I thought I had made a motion that we move $500,000 into reserve for the exterior of the building, essentially to make it weatherproof so it's no longer a deteriorating asset. Something to that term. And maybe Councillor Palmer seconded it.
Or the external.
So there should be 500 in a reserve already for that purpose, right? And then, again, if recollection serves me right, during the strong mayor portion, you moved another 500 from a reserve in the rec department to complete interior work. So that put $1 million towards that project. You had moved money from, so I guess my question is, when you did that, sorry,
I know we moved $500,000.
Yeah. So did we collapse a reserve at the rec department and essentially create a new reserve for the interior work at 137? Or was that considered to be a loan from one reserve over to 137? I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's just give staff an opportunity.
Yes.
Sorry, through the chair to the deputy mayor. So at the time of the 26 budget, strong mayor's budget, the 500 was coming out of reserve, and the other 500 was going to be a loan. And so that's what this is reflective of. There was a change. We're just trying to figure out what changed between the reserves and the loan.
So the capital up there.
Good, yeah, floor is yours, Deputy.
Thank you. I just want to get my head around, like, so when I made the motion to put 500 towards the exterior type work, how does the finance department look at that $500,000 designation? Do you see that as, oh, we're going to go get a loan for that 500, or it's taxation, or like, and then similarly, when the mayor, and I can't remember exactly the wording, but sorry, Rob, but I think he sacrificed another one of your reserves and moved it over to 137 Frank. So those two things, I'm just I want to get in my mind, when I made my motion, how did you view that 500? And when the mayor did his strong mayor order, how did you view that 500,000?
Through the chair to the deputy mayor. So the way it was done was your 500,000 from reserves was coming out of a reserve. So I think we actually even mentioned it was the administration reserve, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to confirm that one. And then the other was a $500,000 loan through the strong mayors. So that made up the $1 million.
Okay.
Councillor, then we'll go to Councillor Derbyshire.
So with that $500,000 loan not being included in the debt schedules, do we need to do that as a strong mayor directive to add it, because that would change the budget? Like, how do we do, if the debt's not on the debt schedule that was approved as a budget, how do we put 500 more debt on?
I'm going to jump, I'm going to suggest it wasn't there. The debt schedule was just a, you used the wrong word. It's a proposed debt schedule, correct? So it's, right, the money, the 500,000 was in the actual budget. Just we're trying to allocate. I'm going to Councillor Canis. Jump in, Councillor Canis.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter, and the project was approved, so now how we pay for it, that's, you know, whether it comes out of cash or whether we take out a loan for it, that's what we're deciding tonight, so.
Yeah, Councillor Derbyshire.
In this, it says as part of the budget, started the interior renovations to reimagine this building, expanded to include interior work. 3.9 million was budgeted to be paid by a loan. Like, is that it? Is that a typo? Or where?
That's a typo.
Through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, that's clearly a typo.
Yeah, but at this point, if we approve this, we would, it says 3.9 was budgeted to be paid off by loan. Like, I don't even know where 3.95 even lines up.
It's a typo. It's a typo.
Oh, okay, so what was it supposed to be? Like, that's, I mean,
Correct.
what's the correct number then?
So it was $1 million.
It was $1 million, 500 from reserves and 500 from a loan payment through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire.
Yeah, so it's a typo.
So it should say $1 million was budgeted to be paid by a loan. Is that correct?
No, it should be $1 million was budgeted and 500,000 was to be paid by a loan.
But that doesn't even add up with it. So your numbers here are not beginning to add up anywhere on this project.
Through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, the 392,411, and you add the 607,589, those come to $1 million.
And I understand those two numbers add up, but you said it's 500,000 as a loan. Well, no, it's 607 as a loan. Like, I'm just saying, when we get down to looking at, this is what's written on the page.
I think what he's saying with the budget.
No, but I think this is the problem. What's on this page is what we're approving. Not what I think, not what he meant, and not what was supposed to be here.
No, but the motion will be explicit. When the motion will say what we're approving.
Except for if we determine that maybe that was meant, well, you guys didn't read the $3.9 million. Like, I don't want to say we've run into this once or twice before where we think we're approving what we're approving, and then all of a sudden we get told, no, it's something else, and this is how it was. It's the same thing. On the debt schedule, it doesn't have 500,000 debt for this place. So we're going to say that's an overlook. We understood you were pulling that out of reserves. I believe if you go to the capital project and how it was marked down, it says 500 from the previous reserves and 500 from this reserve. Now, I understand if you want to take a loan out for all $1 million of it, that's fine. But, like, to tell us that we don't understand what we're doing, we don't understand because it's not clear and we have paperwork that doesn't line up anymore.
One second. See it? Yeah.
Through your worship, there's lots of reports that staff provide that have information. We act upon the motion of council. So if you, whatever your direction is, be explicit, and that's what we will follow. The director has already suggested there was a typo in the report, and he apologized for that. I think council needs to just be explicit in their motion, and that's what we will do.
So, any questions or motion? Deputy Mayor.
I'll make a motion that we finance the entire $1 million by way of a internal loan from reserve pursuant to the reserve policy.
Is there a second there? You seconded that, Councillor Brennan. Any questions or comments? Councillor Pelkman.
Point of clarity, was that the reserve policy or the debt policy?
Oh, sorry, the one we did tonight. Debt issuance policy, thank you.
You have a seconded motion. All in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. I think the next is the police headquarter annex. Is this more for information, Director, or are you looking for direction on this?
Through the chair to the chair, I'm looking for approval to go out to a construction loan. Currently, the construction loan using the Infrastructure Ontario is at 2.81%. The loan payment, if we do the full $9.5 million, the interest payment on that will be $266,950 for the 1 year. And then that would get converted to a loan through Infrastructure Ontario after, but that would have to come back.
Okay. Any questions? Councillor Brennan.
I'll make that a motion.
Okay, now you have a second there. Councillor Kennis, any questions or comments? Councillor Wilsey.
So I'm just going to refer back to the 2026 debt schedule one more time. The police annex is in a separate line item below that says it's not included in the 2026 operating budget. So this would be new money. And if we want to approve new money, I guess we can do that. But when I look through the debt schedule, it has a total of $1.77 million and $59. And below that is another $601,000 payment that would be for the police annex. So what we're approving now was not improved in the debt schedule or anything in that. So this would be $300,000 approximately of new money.
So I'm going to jump in on the debt schedule. The debt schedule was designed to get a schedule of payments, correct? Director Dakin? So even though this may not have been in the debt schedule, the money is there to pay this, correct? Because we're going to be going into July. We have not made any payments on any yet, correct?
Through the chair to the chair, that's correct.
I think, Councilor, sorry, go ahead, Greg.
With that being said, it was a debt schedule, but the number was the number used in the budget. So,
Right.
Yeah, I guess if it's just a number and we don't care what the report says, we just spend however we want, but it wasn't included in it.
Councilor Kaufman.
Just a point of clarification on Greg's point. Would we actually be making any loan payments in 2026, or would they start in 2027?
So through the chair to Councillor Baldwin, any payments now will be in 2027. So all these debts that we're doing right now, these payments will actually be brought forward in 2027.
Councilor Brennan, could you, for clarity for the clerk, just read your motion for clarity that you're seeking to finance $9.5 million with a 2.8 construction loan? Is that correct?
Essentially, yes. I was just moving what the director had stated.
Okay.
Yes.
All in favor? Sorry, Councilor Kennis.
Just a point, I mean, again, we approved the project, and the 2.81 is interest only. It's a construction loan, right? So we're not paying principal on it, it's just interest. And that's a really good rate.
Yeah. All in favor of the second, all in favor of the motion? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Director, did you get everything you needed this evening to proceed?
I have one question before we go on.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to make sure you got it before we move on.
Through the chair to the chair, yes. Thank you, Council, for the...
Sorry, Greg, I didn't want to, go ahead, Greg.
No, and this is just going down to the different fire trucks and the policy we have where we pay them off over 10 years and then keep making payments for 10 years. There's no payments for any truck anywhere on here that's more than 10 years old. So did we not buy any new fire trucks before, I think, 2020 is one of the earliest ones on here. Or 2016 is one that's on there. So before the aerial fire truck, did we not buy any more trucks that we've been making payments on? Or, I just want to know where those payments that we're supposed to be making for trucks that continue for 10 years after we pay off the debt, because half of our debt is for fire trucks, so that's not going to be coming off next year. So it's just a thought of where those payments are, or if we have been doing that or not following that policy.
Director Dakin.
Through the chair, to Councillor Wilsey. So when I started in 2012, they were just buying trucks outright. So the first truck that we did the 10-year thing on is the 2016 ladder truck. So that one this year is the last payment. So now that loan payment for the ladder truck will be starting to go through as a reserve transfer, and you'll see that within the 27 budget. And all these ones moving forward are now on that one as well.
Thank you. Councillor Derbyshire.
So I just gonna ask, are we going to get a breakdown of exactly what we approved, what we didn't approve, and what we've put our total debt at now? And the other thing is, did we approve both fire trucks at the same time, or is Station 2 pumper still?
I think he answered that one, Director Dakin, on the second truck.
Through the chair to Councillor Derbyshire, so obviously all the loan payments and the bylaws for those loan payments will come back to council. So at that point, we'll provide a listing of how much the payments are, what our debt limit is now at. That will be included. As far as the 2020 truck, that truck was already debentured and paid for by the motion that is included in the package tonight. So that's already being paid.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further. Recommendation of bylaw number 1526 received first, second, third, and final reading. This bylaw is confirmed the proceedings of this meeting. Someone to bring a motion. Councillor Canis, second by Councillor Pelkman. All in favor? Motion carries. Next meeting is directly after this. Motion to adjourn at 5:07 p.m. Councillor Cameron, second by Councillor Canis. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.